Good morning, everyone. Let's have a recap of what we did yesterday. Fast one, तब तक possibly others will join. Yeah, can anyone tell? क्या सीखा आपने?
Yesterday, we learned about the characteristics of a journalist, ma'am. That they should be observing, they should be good at public speaking, they should be having good communication skills, they should be honest, they should be curious. So we discussed the various characteristics a journalist should have.
Wonderful. Yes, we
And
discussed
ma'am,
and
we
we all.
also
Hmm?
we also
Yeah.
discussed what makes a story newsworthy and also learned how to differentiate between a story that can be presented as a news or and a story which cannot, which should be both.
Yes.
And we also learned about how, from one point of view or perspective, we can come up with multiple different types of stories.
Yes, that's right. So now we are going to focus about facts, opinions, and verification. Why? Uh, that's an important part of journalistic writing. So how do journalists ensure that they don't go wrong with facts? Just a simple example. Suppose I tell you if uh, just tell me if I'm telling you something very confidently, does that make it true?
No, ma'am, you can present anything with confidence. The fact should be reliable and authentic. Not only that, if they're presented with confidence, they would be true. It's not like that.
Yes. So confidence, it doesn't matter how confidently the other person talks to you. Just don't get carried away with that. Always cross check your facts. That's the important thing to remember. You guys are already aware about what constitutes a fact. So let's do simple exercise to be able to understand the difference between fact and opinion. One, for example, if I say I will be putting it in chat for all those who are not able to see or hear me, you have to tell me what exactly is this. If I'm just writing, chocolate ice cream is the best flavor. So, what exactly is it?
It's an
Is it a
opinion.
fact? It's an opinion. Yeah. And suppose I just change it to our chocolate ice cream is the best flavor, spoken by some CEO of an ex company. What is it?
Fact.
Ma'am, it is also an opinion in my, like, according to me, because, like, you cannot just simply say the best because best depends on many factors, not only what the CEO thinks is true.
Yeah. But if I'm talking just in context of that ex company and the ice creams they come up with, then I can use it as an opinion. Sorry, as a fact also,
Yes, ma'am.
because it's coming from the CEO of a company, and I'm just talking about ice creams of that company. Did you guys understand what I said? The difference?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
When I'm talking about chocolate ice cream in general, it's an opinion. But if I'm taking the quote of a CEO and I'm talking in context of his company's ice creams, then I can use it as a fact. There is some problem with my mic, so I cannot speak. I did not attend yesterday's class. I wanted to know the feedback for the report I submitted. Sia, why did you not attend yesterday's class? Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Is that a fact or an opinion?
Fact.
Fact.
That is a fact,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. 500 students attended sports day. What is it?
Again, a
Fact.
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 Ma'am, that could
Yes.
also be an observation.
Yeah. So it can be a
It's not
potential fact, it
necessarily.
can be an observation. We have to verify it. Facts are something that can be verified. That's why, if you remember in my first class, I told you journalists never use numbers like this 500 students. They will always put words like nearly 500, about 500, 500 students or above, that kind of a thing. So you don't give exact figures, you give a rough estimate. So that tomorrow, if somebody questions you, you can always say, we never said 500, we said about 5, nearly 500. These are the terms journalists use for that. Okay?
साथ साथ बोलना मुंह भरा हुआ होगा कैसे बोलूंगी मैम बोलेंगे तो बंदा ऐसे वो कैसे बोलूंगी
क्या हुआ तमन्ना? Sia Bacha, you will get the recording, I think, of yesterday's class. Get in touch with Shivaji after this class. He will be able to help you with the yesterday's recording. जो भी कल हमने class में किया है. Feedback, Bacha already gave the feedback. Everyone has done well. They have written really nice. But I would want you to send it to me as a Word document next time. Just make it attachment and send it as a Word file. I'm not visible. Who is this anonymous attendee? I want to know the name. Okay. So now since you can distinguish between this simple fact and opinion, let's move on to the sources that journalists use to write their articles. So, just a second. These are the sources जो कि आप कभी भी use करते हैं for any kind of an article, whatever you write in future. कभी भी, if you want to make your article really good, this is the format that you are going to adopt. Okay, is it fine now? Am I visible?
yes ma'am you're visible.
Okay, I would like to know the name of this anonymous attendee, but fine, these are what we call them primary and secondary sources. Does anyone have an idea about what constitutes primary and secondary sources?
Ma'am may I?
Yeah.
Ma'am, primary sources are when you collect your data, your facts yourself. Like you the first, like if we go and interview many people or we make people fill Google Forms or we launch a poll, that is primary data. But when you use the data which is already published somewhere and is collected by someone else, that becomes secondary data.
Yes. Anyone likes to add anything? Primary data is the data that we gather directly. It can be through, as the Manna said, surveys, maybe observations, some original documents, और interviews. Basically, जो आप खुद collect करते हो, वो होता है primary data. Secondary is that you collect from somebody else. Maybe you pick up things from a news article, some books, reports, surveys conducted by some other organization, and you're just quoting them. Those constitute secondary sources. So whenever we have to make our articles, add value to our articles, what we do is we take help of primary or secondary sources. That gives weightage to our article. That will help your article to stand out among the crowd. So tomorrow, even if you're filing for, say, applications, university application, essays, wherever you want to go, you just have to add value to your article through these sources. Before we move to journalists कैसे properly लिखते हैं and all that stuff, I just want to tell you some of the challenges that today's journalists face. or today's writers face for that matter. Uh, हमारे time पे this was not a major challenge. I would not say it wasn't a challenge, but it wasn't a major challenge because we were not bombarded by this much of information. Right now, there is an information overload everywhere. Too much of information. And you have to segregate the information, figure out what is right, what is wrong, and only then process the information, come out with, write about certain things. So that is a huge, huge task. Before you sit down to write, you have to actually figure out जो भी आपके पास information आ रही है, जहां से भी आ रही है, can I use it? Is it actually accurate? So just tell me, do you think when you Google information, everything that comes over on the screen, that's right? Can
No,
you
ma'am.
blindly
Actually,
trust? Hmm.
we cannot blindly trust the first article we see on our Google search engine because there is no credibility of that data. You do not know if it's authentic or not. You cannot blindly trust Google articles.
So how do you check authenticity of data, whatever results you get on Google?
Ma'am, firstly is that you take reliable sources. If you know that one company, maybe Times of India. I read a news at Times of India and I read a news at from a random account at Instagram. I think the Times of India one I would consider more credible because I know that the source is like a renowned maybe publication and that kind of.
Yes. So we opt for websites. We can consider safe. We have websites which have been able to build trust. So those are the kind of things that we rely on. But just one thing I wanted to tell you, students, Wikipedia is something written on Wikipedia is also not considered trustworthy by journalists. Fine. So just because it's written on Wikipedia does not mean it's right. So don't trust that blindly. Similarly, whatever you search, because nowadays our search is we mainly prefer to search from AI rather than Google or something else. So just because the results or AI gives us a particular info doesn't mean it's to be believed. You have to check the source. You have to go back and see where it's coming from. Can you really trust that?
If we carefully look at the interface of ChatGPT or any kind of AI, there is a very minor line written at the very bottom. AI can make mistakes. Please check for
Yes,
important information. It's always mentioned.
yes, it is. It is always mentioned.
These
So
type
you
of
have to be
also
because
harm
it
our environment.
क्या बोलो
They also harm our environment.
harm an environment ये कहाँ से आ गया
Ma'am, in the sense like sometimes they're wrong and they're harming the environment. So that's just disadvantages on the disadvantage.
that is there, but we are basically talking about the information that we receive from AI. So uh, I'm talking about basically just the information that I get from AI. I cannot trust whatever comes on ChatGPT or for that matter any other AI platform that you're using. You have to go back and check again the sources from where it's coming. Social media information, बहुत बार it's there, but it's wrong. किसी ने कोई rumor डाल दिया, somebody else picked it up, and there can be mistake कि किसी major organization या influencer ने भी वो उठा के डाल दिया, and then later on you come to know it just wasn't a real news or it was fake, that kind of a thing. So you've got to be extremely, extremely careful. So use AI, of course, use AI. That's the future. I won't tell you सब कुछ ही खुद करना. AI is a very good uh, place where you can generate ideas, you can ask them questions, get answers, brainstorming. It helps refine your writing. You can really learn a lot from it. But don't depend on it 100%. Just don't. अच्छा चैट जीपीटी ने ये लिखा है तो ये ठीक है. काफी बार उनके सेंटेंसेस वो अगर लिखेंगे वो भी गलत हो सकते हैं. So just don't blindly trust AI. Usually there is, we call two source rule that we follow. It's a verification source rule, sorry. What happens is that suppose X gave me some info. I'm writing an article and say Tamanna gave me some info. उसके स्कूल में ऐसा हुआ. So I got this idea. ऐसा हो रहा है. So I will go and check it, cross check it with her, say Palak. I'm just giving an random example. ठीक है? I just check it with that. क्या ऐसा हुआ? जब मेरे को 2-3 लोगों से कंफर्म हो जाएगा कि ऐसा हुआ, only then I will trust. So you have to always ensure that you check with at least 2 independent sources before you completely trust it. Okay? Have I made myself clear before we proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. ऐसा मुझे लग रहा है सिर्फ 3-4 लोग ही जागे हुए हैं, बाकी सारे सो रहे हैं. So the wrap up, if I just go about discussing things, we yesterday and today's class, we just gathered that we just understood that there are stories are everywhere around us, but not everything is a news. So for a particular story to become a news, we have to evaluate it. Then we have to check the facts, and then only we can come up with a story. So now I've got my facts where I decided this X मेरी story का topic मुझे मिल गया, things like that. So now, how do I proceed and how do I start writing my story? So now we will focus on that. How do journalists write? So before I proceed further, just tell me, मैंने आई थिंक फर्स्ट क्लास में आपसे जब बात की थी, आई टोल्ड यू हम लोग जब भी सोशल मीडिया पे जाते हैं, we just check the first or second line of whatever we are seeing or reading. If we don't find them interesting, we move on, isn't it? How many of you do that? पूरा आर्टिकल पढ़ते हो क्या?
I do, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You read,
So,
but article about what? हर कोई आर्टिकल जो आपके सामने आ रहा है या just of your interest जो आपके कॉलेज में दिया है उस वो
Ma'am,
वाला आर्टिकल?
only the ones we find interesting.
How do you find them interesting? What determines that?
Headline. Not something that is going on currently in the world or something that is more fact related and not just story typical.
Okay. And suppose
Ma'am,
you're just
something
scrolling.
which matches, may I?
Hmm.
Something
Bolo.
which matches my interest. Like if I'm reading some article about maybe astrology, that's not my interest. I'll skip it. But if there's an article on the new, maybe some new research on psychology, I'll read it because that is my interest.
Fine. And how do you decide ये तुम्हारा है? उसके लिए तुम क्या पढ़ते हो?
The title and the one-liner they write to describe the news.
Okay. And in shorts में क्या पढ़ोगे? अगर in shorts पे पढ़ रहे हो तो.
Ma'am, the very first, like they try to make the news concise in one paragraph, as we discussed
Hmm.
that one paragraph answers all the questions, Uh, then if we get the information and we are interested to read it further, we read the whole article.
Okay. So fun paragraph, जो beginning का intro paragraph होता है, that is the main paragraph of any story, because that decides whether the reader will see read the whole article or not. Fine. That forms your most important part. उसके बाद आप शेक्सपियर इंग्लिश में लिख दोगे ना, कोई नहीं पढ़ेगा अगर फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ स्किप हो गया. So be very careful. Who is this anonymous attendee? I want to know. Ma'am, your screen is black again. That is because मैं disconnect कर देती हूँ screen को. I want to know who is this anonymous attendee. So, that first paragraph becomes the most important part of any story, any article. It doesn't matter आप journalistic form of writing में जा रहे हो, आप content writing में जा रहे हो, आप even if essay or something, first paragraph should be able to catch your reader's attention. And this holds true even for broadcast. अगर आप जाओगे, अगर आपके first 5 seconds में आपने अपने व्यूअर का attention nahi grasped kiya, the viewer moves on to the next video. So first few lines, first few seconds of broadcast, first few seconds of even radio, if you are there, or writing for radio, they are very important. We will only continue reading things first, as you guys said, it has to be of your interest. If it's a strong story, even if it's not of your interest, but something जो आप में curiosity जगाए, जो आपको रोक पाए, नहीं, I have to read it. Maybe human interest story, कोई emotional connection वो बनाता है, कोई surprising information आपको देता है, something which is you are able to say,
Or
nahi,
maybe
I
some
need to read it.
controversial opinion that people read it
Exactly.
further because of that controversial opinion.
Yes. Right now, you see so many stories are coming up. If you people have been following the controversy of that comedian, Pranit, I think, is this his name, no?
Yes, ma'am. The person who was
Hmm.
monetizing the women consent. Yeah, that person.
Right, exactly. Now you also have a woman doctor getting involved in that controversy. So you have so many articles. Suddenly it has become an interesting topic and everybody wants to write about it. That kind of a thing. Writing is not just about having information. Basically, it's presenting information in a manner that readers interested हो. Like this very Pranit Morais controversy. Every platform is now writing about it. तो अगर आप लोगों को लिखना पड़े, what is it that you're going to write that people are going to read now? It's सबने पढ़ लिया, सबको पता है क्या है. सो अब अगर आपको उस पर लिखना पड़े तो आपको एक नया एंगल ढूंढना पड़ेगा, समथिंग जिससे लोग अभी भी आपका आर्टिकल पढ़े और बाकी सबको छोड़ दे. सो दैट फर्स्ट लाइन, दैट फर्स्ट टाइटल हैज टू बी so interesting that your reader, even now after so many days, feels like reading it. I give you a simple example now. I'm just switching over. I will be sharing with you one slide. This is just to help you understand the difference. Okay? Share. Are you able to see the screen? It's example A and example B. दिख रहा है क्या आप लोगों को?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the idea is just read both of them and tell me which example is better.
Example B is better because it has like a catchy first line which makes the reader read the whole article.
Right. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Ma'am, I would also say example B because it's more specific about the projects that were being displayed so that the readers can also try and understand how significant the exhibition was.
Good.
Even I think that example B is more good because it has more adjectives and more words that attract the people towards it and make them read the article.
Right. But bacha, you don't need more adjectives to make it interesting. You need more info. Fine. Adjectives you will use feature writing या इसमें. यहाँ पे you have to be more direct. The idea is कि आपके readers आ जाए पढ़ने. So just be more direct, give them more info, make them curious. That is the idea. Simple, there is a school exhibition. Example A is the one we follow. जब हमें general report लिखना हो, जो internal report school के अंदर जाएगा, circulate होगा, जिसमें we basically want to know exhibition ने perform कैसा किया है. Fine, so this is how we are going to write. Both of them serve a purpose. इस टाइप से हम तब लिखेंगे. Okay, ये सारा लिखा. But example B is the one we are going to follow as a journalist because, or even as a content writer, because we want people to read it. Okay? This is a news article kind of a thing. जब आप school magazine में भी छापोगे, this will make for a better read than example A because people would actually want to read. अच्छा ऐसा भी था. Some of them may say, यार मैंने तो देखा ही नहीं. That kind of a thing. So this is how a journalist works. Example B is the perfect. Now, I'll give you a simple example. And I want all of you to use your brains in that. Fine, because आप लोगों ने ही ये किया है. Take this slide, look at this slide, get idea. All of you almost gave me अपना first day, first, second day का report when I asked you to write it. Now, can you think how you are going to improve that report, that article, that story, whatever you wrote? I'm not saying what you wrote is bad. Fine, it's a different way of writing. But because our focus is more on improving our writing in such a way that we are able to have more and more readers read it, attract our readers, or write from a commercial point of view. So I want you to just think उस आर्टिकल में हम उसे कैसे एग्जाम्पल बी की तरह बना सकते. Go back, think about your own article, about your story, and tell me how you are going to make it just like example B. 1 minute I'm giving you because we don't have much time. I would like to then show you कैसे लिखा जाता है. So just 1 minute and just try it. Okay? And I want everyone to participate, not just 2 or 3 people. Whosoever is ready may speak.
Ma'am, I feel like the first sentence of my article, which I sent you, like I started with that I don't like watching news as it spreads negativity. Like I think that was a controversial opinion that could that could tie up the reader to read further. But yeah, like in I would like to also maybe improve it better. That like because I only gave a small intro in the first paragraph, not everything that happened, like not answering every question. So I'd like to add more details, like tiny details, like what was the session about.
Right. Anyone else?
Ma'am, for me as well, as Tamanna said, I would like to add more details about what happened in the session, because I wrote it as a creative writer perspective.
Hmm.
So it was a bit more this like I described more of the session instead. So maybe I would like to add more details instead and maybe improve my adjectives.
Lintoy, isn't it? That's
Yes,
how your
ma'am.
name is pronounced.
Length.
Bacha, you wrote really well. You have a knack for creative writing. Uh,
Ma'am.
yes. You need for news report, you will have to rewrite the whole stuff. That's true. So, can anyone tell me what were the major uh, things that we discussed on that day? Maybe day one, day two. Kya tha major points that we discussed?
And we
Most of you
discussed,
wrote them.
yeah,
Hmm?
we discussed the types of media, print, broadcast, and online. We discussed the difference between content writing and journalistic writing, the difference between misinformation and disinformation, and report and article.
Okay, cool. So, in 10 points में which point do you think makes for a better reading जिससे ज्यादा लोग इंटरेस्ट
Ma'am,
लेंगे
I
पढ़ने में?
think misinformation and disinformation is an engaging topic because I also found that the most interesting of that day. Like that was the highlight for me of that day. So I'd like to think from that perspective.
Yes, anyone who disagrees with you? सारे ही मान रहे हो क्या? I can bet only 3-4 people are there. बाकी सारे online होके गायब हो चुके हैं. Anyways. So basically, misinformation and disinformation makes for a better read. General अगर हमें लोगों का readership gain करना है. Fine. So we will start our article, report rather, with misinformation and disinformation. Fine. The first line is we are going to write in such a manner that people actually would want to know क्या है, ऐसा क्या है दोनों में. And then first line will try to arouse curiosity among the people. And the second line of the intro paragraph will try to answer the question 5 W's, 1 H. This is 2 or 3 line intro we will focus on, and then we will go ahead and we will talk about, give details about it. Kya tha? Misinformation, kya explain? We will explain it in detail, misinformation, disinformation. Then we will talk about the other things that we discussed during those 2 days. Fine. Or if you don't want misinformation, say your target audience is more interested in knowing about content writing, journalistic form of writing, all those things. If that is your area of interest or area of interest of your readers, then you will start with that. And you will talk in such a manner that your readers will feel like reading your article. Again, we will just focus on 1 or 2 lines wherein we will uh, write it in such a manner that the readers just feel like reading the rest of the article. That we will write with the intent to make our readers want more. Second line, we will again follow W's and H. And then we will go in with the details. Am I making sense? समझ में आ रहा है?
Ma'am, could you give an example? I understood what you said, but like जो भी आपने भी बोला first line में ये second line में ये एक sample अगर मिल सके तो.
ट्राई करो खुद करने का. Misinformation, disinformation से start करो. Try to build first paragraph. Everyone, try to build first paragraph of your first and second day, um, whatever report you wrote. Can you just write? गिव इट अ शॉट गाइस. फर्स्ट लाइन आपको ऐसी बनानी है जिसमें आप रीडर्स को बता सको मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन, डिसइंफॉर्मेशन. Either you tell them what it is, or you write it in such a manner that they would want to read the second paragraph to know what it is.
The first line can be that some journalists deliberately spread wrong information for their own benefits. So, like, this is like again kind of controversial and makes the reader read further. Like, I definitely improve on the wording, but the essence I was talking about is that the first line can say something like some journalists deliberately spread wrong information for their own benefits.
Okay. Anyone else? We can have the first line like, do you know that information is not always, fake news is not always fake because people didn't know about the reality of it, but they knew about the reality, but still decided to do it. Something like that. I'm not getting the exact words, but something like that, wherein we tell the people that
We
fake
can
news is, yeah, faking is a kind of art that people indulge in just to gain readership, to
we
gain
can say
viewership.
that reality is subjective, that reality differs, reality is subjective, and then explain it.
Yeah, but आपको बहुत simple करना पड़ेगा so that your reader reads it. See, अगर आपने थोड़ा सा भी मुश्किल कर दिया, first, second, 2, 3 lines, what happens is, रीडर के अगर उस पे दिमाग पे ज्यादा लोड पड़ा ना, भाई साहब ये क्या बोल रहा है, व्हाट इज
They
ही
would
ट्राइंग टू
lose
से.
interest. Yeah.
यस, वी ऑल डू दैट. इट्स नॉट कि कोई और ही कर रहा है. वी ऑल डू दैट. इवन इफ आई हैव टू रीड, यार क्या है फर्स्ट लाइन, मेरे को समझ ही नहीं आ रही है, जस्ट लीव इट, मेरे को नहीं पढ़ना. दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग, वी ऑल डू दैट. सो आपको फर्स्ट इंट्रो इतना सिंपल बनाना पड़ता है कि अगर कोई बंदा ऐसा भी हो ना जिसे रीडिंग में इंटरेस्ट ना हो या जिसने बिल्कुल पढ़ना पड़ा, उससे भी समझ में आए और वो आगे पढ़ना चाहे. सो जस्ट दैट काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग. एंड देन द सेकेंड लाइन वुड बी wherein you talk about that an online seminar took place on this and this day over here, wherein so many there were 30 students, 40 students, that kind of a thing. That ways we give the information, and then we move on to the second paragraph wherein we give the details. That's why go do one thing, bacha. Yesterday also I told you, just try to read newspaper. You will be able to understand what I'm saying in a better fashion. Because ये format हम लोग वहां पे follow करते हैं, हर news में follow करते हैं. So you'll be able to understand things in a better fashion over there. Just remember that in the first, whenever you are writing a news, just be more specific. Try to create curiosity among your readers, and then they should have a reason to continue reading your or hearing you out. उस टाइप का क्यूरियोसिटी अगर आप नहीं क्रिएट कर पाते हो, तो believe me, you have lost the reader. Readers, for that matter, अपने just try to evaluate when it comes to you. आप लोग भी तभी पढ़ोगे when you find an article curious enough to satisfy your curiosity or something like that. It is relevant to you. You are able to connect with it somewhere, or it gives an element of surprise. So, if I go back to this, suppose I'm writing a student won a competition. Do you think this makes for a better reading? Or agar nahi, so how would you
No,
like to change it? Use your creativity and tell me how would you like to change it to make it creative?
ma'am, can we get a little bit more detail? What kind of competition?
Use your creativity. कोई भी competition ले लो. A student won a competition.
So the competition can be any.
हाँ, use your creativity. Maybe coding competition ले लो. Can you guys? Bolo.
We can have something like we have the new gen Linus tornadoes between us.
Pardon?
We have the new gen Linus tornadoes among us. Like Linus tornadoes is one of the best coders in the
Hmm.
field. So like
Hmm.
we have the new gen Linus tornadoes between us. We have the next Linus tornadoes between us. Something like that.
Okay, good. Anyone else? Those who are awake and there?
Ma'am, can we write like the child played the Queen's Gambit and made his name in the school's board like that?
But if you give the age of the child, say it's 10-year-old, that makes for a much more interesting read than just writing a child.
Yeah, ma'am, actually you didn't specify the age, so I just like took normal child only.
That's okay, no problem. The point is, एक सिंपल कंपटीशन एक स्टूडेंट ने जीता, आप उसे कैसे, आप क्या क्या फैक्टर्स देखोगे या फिगर आउट करोगे in order to make it for an interesting read. Maybe a class fifth student defeated 1,000 participants to win a coding competition, that kind of a thing, that kind of a thing you can do. Basically, आपको कुछ उसमें यूनिक, कुछ डिफरेंट देखना पड़ेगा as a journalist. So I will share with you one more thing. Just yeah, paper. We call this inverted pyramid. This is the way we write. Whenever you go in for any commercial writing or any writing wherein you want the readers to read it, I'm not talking about creative writing. I'm not talking about feature writing over here. I'm talking about a writing जहाँ पे your purpose is to make your readers, to make your professors, to make your teachers, anyone, to read your article, your report. If that is your aim, this is where we are going. Fine. Forget creative writing, forget feature writing. There you have to uh, create a picture for a reader to immerse your reader into that writing. So that is a different thing. Over here, the idea is कि लोग मेरा article पढ़े, लोग मेरी website पे आए. So we are following this. We call this inverted pyramid. So the first paragraph is, as I told you, 5 W's, 1 H. Most important, we call it the lead. इसमें आपको आपका न्यूज आगे, आपका रिपोर्ट, आपका स्टोरी आगे क्या है, उसका बहुत ही क्रिस्प वर्जन देना है और इस टाइप से देना है कि लोग आगे आपका पढ़े. Fine, so you have to be really, really careful about it. We call this lead. 2-3 लाइन्स लीड के, उसके बाद बॉडी जिसमें हम लोग we give the details. That is, जो हमने ऊपर लिखा है वो हम थोड़ा सा ज्यादा एक्सप्लेन करना स्टार्ट कर देंगे. We will quote people in that. We will give facts. अगर हमारे पास surveys है, information है, we will give that. We will give context to whatever we wrote. Then comes less important details. कुछ और भी है, कुछ और हुआ है. Let's go back to our first day's report. First, we'll talk about misinformation, disinformation, just to create curiosity among readers. Then we will go down, we will explain what is it. Once we are done, we will move to the third paragraph, less important details, wherein we'll talk about difference, maybe content writing, journalistic form of writing, other things, or whatever you felt, print media, broadcast media, things that were discussed. But ये मिसइंफॉर्मेशन डिसइंफॉर्मेशन से कम इम्पोर्टेंट है. Different forms of media, print, broadcast, online, that is less important. So we'll put it in third paragraph. Then we will talk about least important. Something else may be discussed. The students introduce themselves, they felt at ease, things like that. That's least important. वो अगर आप नहीं भी उसमें डालोगे, if the focus is misinformation and disinformation, तब, even if you don't put it, that will also work. That kind of a thing. So as a journalist, as a writer, you have to distinguish what is important, what is not. आपको ही लिखना पड़ेगा और लिखना पड़ेगा. And slowly, once you will start doing it, आपको practice हो जाएगी. You will be able to understand things. Am I making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
The last line can also be optional, wherein you're giving more information. You are going to tell me, we will learn more about content writing or journalism in the following classes or in the rest of the internship program that will be held from June 5 to June 30th, that kind of a thing. Last line, अगर आपने कभी इवेंट्स या कुछ पेज न्यूज कभी देखा, उसका लास्ट पैराग्राफ में आपको हमेशा डेट्स बोली, यूजुअली डेट्स दी जाती है कि ये प्रोग्राम कहाँ पे कंडक्ट हो रहा है, कब तक होगा, दैट काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग. इफ इट्स नॉट गिवन इन द फर्स्ट ऊपर, तो ये नीचे होता है, that kind of a thing. So you can also have that kind of an information in the last line. This is how we write. Any questions, anyone?
No, ma'am.
Very good. Stop sharing. I hope you guys noted it down.
Took the screenshot of it, ma'am.
You want me to share it again?
No, I have already taken the screenshot.
अभी कुछ share हो रहा है क्या?
No, ma'am.
नहीं ना? Okay. Now we will just try to understand this with the help of, say, suppose your school installs solar panels. How are you going to write the story? Can you people guess, or just let's going for brainstorming kind of a thing for this story? Your school is installing solar panels. How are you going to write the story?
Ma'am, only one school has changed, right?
नहीं बच्चा, I'm just giving you एक स्कूल, आपके स्कूल ने, suppose all of you are in the same school, आपके स्कूल ने solar panel install किए, and you are supposed to write a story on that.
Okay.
For your school magazine. So आप कैसे उस story को लिखोगे? क्या क्या important चीजें होंगी जो आपको find out करनी होगी? कैसे आप उसे start करोगे? किस type का information you think we will require in that?
Ma'am, firstly, we will require that if first we would obviously tell that which school has done that, in how much time is the project being completed, and in the first line we can say something like from theory to practical, school gets to sustainable resources, because usually these things are taught in school. Now the school has put it into practice, so we can say something like from theory to practical, the school gets to sustainable sources, something like that.
Okay, nice. Anyone else? Light shared? क्या क्या इंफॉर्मेशन और आप अपने स्टोरी को वर्ड फाइल बनाने के लिए क्या क्या इंफॉर्मेशन वुड यू लाइक टू एड और फिगर आउट?
We can figure out that cost में कितना फर्क पड़ा है, that what was the electricity cost earlier, what is the
Right.
cost now,
Hmm.
and how is like how much we can also dig out that how much resources are being saved, that if earlier certain certain kilowatts of energy came, then now how much of that energy is being saved.
Okay. Anyone else? You can also take quotes from your principal, ma'am. If you have a science teacher, that person, and quote, कैसे हम लोग quote लेते हैं, कैसे interview करते हैं, we will do it in our next class. वो आप डाल सकते हो. You can also figure out,
And
आपको
what are the
principal या
parents reaction, like how are they happy with the decision? Ask
that can
them.
also be, yes, that can also be there. You can also ask project क्यों start किया? Why did the school feel the need to start the project? Maybe school owner will help you. Maybe school principal will tell you about it, and then you can collect कितना पैसा, कितना electricity save हो रहा है, क्या impact हो रहा है. Maybe if you get the figures, you can use them. पिच पहले कैसे एनर्जी यूसेज होता था, अब कैसे, एंड हाउ इज द स्कूल यू नो becoming a role model for other schools, that kind of a thing. So आप ये चीजें figure out करोगे in order to make your story much more interesting, much more effective than other stories. And जितना ज्यादा आप उसमें information डालोगे, not that you have to bombard the story with information, but you have to ensure that a right amount of information is put into it, which will make it worthwhile for a reader to spend his time on. And also, 4-5 articles जो कि इसी topic पे लिखोगे, why would an editor take yours? Only because it's giving them some more information than the rest articles that have been submitted. So, उसके लिए you will need background information, you will need quotes, you will need to dig into the data. So almost the time is up. It's 11:59. So I would like to end this. I've already told you how you find out the stories. I want in my next class, each of you try to give at least 3 story ideas. Just pay you things that have happened around you and you would like to develop them as news for your, say, article, for your magazine, or for this internship program. At least try for 3 story ideas from your based on your observations. ना कि दुनिया में क्या है या AI generated नहीं चाहिए मुझे. Just try to observe around you, come up with 3 story ideas which you want to develop as news. अपने हर स्टोरी को इवेलुएट करो, रे किस जो हमने पैरामीटर सेट किए हैं फॉर a journalist, how a journalist views news or decides that this story makes for a good news. Just do cross check those points and then come up with story ideas. One, I want that. And second, आपने जो assignment अभी दिया है, the way we discussed it, just try to rewrite it as a report and follow the inverted pyramid in that. I hope that's not going to be difficult. We have already discussed it. I just want you people to write it so that you remember it for all your life. Okay? Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Cool. So just try doing that and I will see you again Friday. कोई doubt हो या something, you can always reach out to us. ठीक है? Anyone has any doubt?
Ma'am, after rewriting the story, do we have to mail it to you again before the next session?
Yes, beta. Try doing that
Okay,
because
ma'am.
in our next session, we will try to give it, add more info to it through interviews. And of course, I will teach you how to do title, how do we write titles, how do we write intros, that way.
Yes.
So, आप अपनी story पे ही जब चीजें बार बार रीराइट करोगे ना, आपको समझ में आएगा कैसे चेंज हुई है, कैसे हमने स्टोरी को इम्प्रोवाइज किया है फ्रॉम वन जो आपने पहले लिखा एंड टू द फाइनल जो आप इंटर्नशिप प्रोग्राम खत्म करने के बाद लिखोगे. You will see the changes in your own story.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that will
That
help
would
you
be
remember
really
that forever.
helpful. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be really helpful.
Cool. ठीक है बच्चा लोग. So see you next Friday. All the best. And take it as an activity, not कि हाय homework मिला है, I have to do it. I want you to just think like a journalist, observe things, and then, of course, write it as a content writer or a journalist, whichever way you want. ठीक है?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, बच्चा लोग. See ya. I'm ending the class. Take care.
Have a good day, ma'am. Bye.